So let's talk about Apple. It's the most valuable company on the planet, a titan of technology, right? But underneath that incredibly polished surface, there is a massive problem brewing. A hidden challenge that could seriously shake its trillion-dollar empire right to the core. So what is this hidden dilemma? Let's get into it.
I mean, we've all felt this, haven't we? You ask Siri a pretty simple question and get, well, not a whole lot back. When Siri first launched, it was absolutely revolutionary, literally years ahead of everybody else. But today, while other AIs are fundamentally changing the world, Siri just feels kind of stuck in the past. And this is just the most obvious symptom of a much, much deeper problem.
This whole situation brings up a pretty fascinating and maybe even a little worrying parallel from history. Do you remember BlackBerry? Back in 2007, right as the iPhone was changing everything, they just doubled down on what they knew best: security and tradition. And what happened? 6 years later, they were a textbook case study in failure. Now, fast forward to today. As AI rewrites all the rules, Apple is clinging to its own deeply held beliefs: privacy and perfection. The big question is, are they making the exact same mistake? To really get why this is such a do-or-die moment for Apple, we have to look past the shiny new features and, follow the money. Because the real problem isn't just about making Siri smarter. It's about a hidden cost, a cost so enormous it could actually cripple the company. So what is Apple's real AI problem? I mean, how can a company that has billions and billions in cash be struggling this much? Well, the answer isn't in their product design, it's in the fundamental plumbing of this new AI world. It all starts with a pretty simple concept: an API. The easiest way to think about it is like a digital bridge. So when Apple needs help from the outside for a really complex AI task, let's say from OpenAI's ChatGPT, it uses an API to send that request over the bridge and then get an answer back. Simple enough, right? Okay, so here's how that bridge actually works day to day. You ask Siri something complicated, like, hey, tell me the history of Paris. Siri itself doesn't know the answer, so it packages up your question, sends it across that API bridge to a partner like OpenAI, which does all the heavy lifting, and then it sends the answer back for Siri to read out to you. The key thing to remember here is that Apple is completely dependent on this bridge. And every single time a request crosses that bridge, a tiny little transaction happens. This is where tokens come in. Tokens are basically the digital currency of AI. Every question you ask, every answer you get back, it all costs a certain number of tokens. It's kind of like a tiny toll for every single piece of information that crosses the bridge. Now this is where it gets really counterintuitive, and for a company at Apple's massive scale, frankly, it's terrifying. With traditional software, think of something like Canva, the more users you get, the cheaper your costs get for each user. You get bulk discounts. It's what's called a compounding margin. But with AI, it is the exact opposite. Every new user, every single new request adds a direct, real cost. It's a compounding cost. The bigger you get, the more money you're bleeding. And this is where the sheer scale of the problem becomes, well, truly staggering. If just under half of Apple's active devices made only 12 AI requests per day, the potential annual bill to a partner like OpenAI could be $65 billion. Now, to put that into perspective, that is more than 2/3 of Apple's entire annual profit. Suddenly putting cutting-edge AI on every single iPhone doesn't look like innovation. It looks like financial suicide. So you might be thinking, wait a minute, won't Google and Microsoft face this exact same problem? And that is the key question. The answer, though, is no, because they have a secret weapon that Apple is critically missing. To really get their advantage, you have to understand something called the AI stock. Think of it as the 4 essential pillars you absolutely need to own if you want to win in the world of AI. The AI model itself, the raw computing power, the data to train it, and the distribution to actually reach users. This chart really says it all. Just look at Google. They've got their own model, Gemini. They have their own custom-built AI chips called TPUs. They have a literal ocean of data from search and YouTube. And of course, they have distribution through Android. They own the entire factory from start to finish. And Apple? Well, they own distribution for sure, but for all those other critical layers, they are dependent on partners. So here's the bottom line. Google's vertical integration gives them an almost insurmountable advantage. Their custom chips are reportedly way faster and operate at a much lower cost. They can train and improve their models on billions of real-world interactions almost instantly. It's a self-compounding AI machine. Apple, on the other hand, is basically trying to compete while paying rent on the most expensive parts of the factory. So, faced with this massive financial threat, what is Apple doing? Well, they're not just sitting back and watching. They've actually devised a very clever two-layer defense to try and sidestep this entire problem. The core of their strategy is actually simple and pretty elegant. Instead of sending every single request to the expensive cloud, they want to handle as much as humanly possible right there on your iPhone, offline and for free. And here's how it works. Layer 1 is right there on your device. This handles all the simple, private stuff like summarizing an email or organizing your notifications. This cost Apple nothing. Zilch. For tasks that are a little heavier, it goes to Layer 2, Apple's own private cloud. It's only as a last resort for the absolute most complex queries that it goes to Layer 3 and makes that expensive call to a partner like OpenAI. And the financial goal here is absolutely profound. Instead of paying for every single Siri request, Apple might only end up paying for, say, 1 in every 20. This strategy turns that potential $65 billion disaster into a much more manageable operating cost. It's a brilliant financial defense.
But, and there's always a but, isn't there? In solving the immediate financial problem, has Apple inadvertently created a much deeper, more dangerous long-term strategic one? You see, Apple is used to partners paying them. Google pays Apple billions of dollars to be the default search engine because every search makes Google money from ads. It's a profitable deal for everybody. But an AI partnership is the complete opposite. Every query costs OpenAI money in computing power. It is a loss-making deal at scale. The old business model is completely broken.
And this points to the ultimate danger for Apple. For the last 2 decades, the value has always been in the device, right? That beautiful piece of glass in your hand. But in the AI era, the value is shifting away from the interface and towards the intelligence layer, the thing that actually thinks. Every time a user has to say, "Hey Siri, ask ChatGPT," this is what's happening. Apple becomes less of the destination and more of just a simple gateway, a dumb pipe that just passes you through to the real intelligence, which was built by someone else. And all of this leaves us with the final crucial question. In the future, if the AI agent that organizes your calendar, books your travel, and manages all your communication lives in the cloud and works on any device, will you still care what brand of phone you're holding, or will you only care about the intelligence that truly runs your life?